I have been playing the Bazaar since closed beta, and ever since that game has been released, I have been absolutely addicted to it. And this is just purely from a player standpoint, not only from a content standpoint, but obviously, like a lot of you guys have probably heard with the release of open beta last Wednesday, the Bazaar went from maybe the most anticipated game of the year for a lot of people to a game that people are really hateful of currently. And this is obviously because of the monetization system that the Bazaar decided to do with their open beta release. Now, as someone, again, who has played a godforsaken a lot of hours, and I can show you how many hours I put into this game over the past 3 months, absolutely disgusting. And I have no regrets, by the way. This game is phenomenal. I am extremely disappointed with the outcome of what has been happening with this game. And as a content creator, I'm even more upset because I need a game to save me from Hearthstone at some point. And I was really hoping Bazaar would be that game that would propel me forward as a creator. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what the problem is, why it affects everyone, and why it's bad, and most importantly, what I would do to fix it if I was in their shoes going forward. But before I get to that, I feel like it's important to give you guys the entire perspective of where I'm coming from, so there's absolutely no bias towards anyone in this particular problem. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you have probably have known that I have done a ton of videos with Rarran. There has been a lot of great videos over the past, I want to say 2 years or so, that we have done Hearthstone for, or the Bazaar, and just in general has just been a really good time overall. A lot of people, I mean, majority of people, I shouldn't say a lot, really like these videos, and I'm extremely happy with a lot of them because they have always been a really fun experience. The reason I'm saying this is because I have a personal relationship that a lot of people don't have with Rarran due to the fact that I've made these videos with him. And I feel like it's important to say this because I don't want to have, I'm trying my absolute hardest here to not have any bias towards the situation, because every interaction I've had with Rarran has been pretty much great, and I always really looked forward to making videos with him regardless of the viewership or whatever what was going on that day. Most importantly, in a lot of these videos, if you watch them, there has been kind of a transaction here. We do a video together, his name gives me exposure and viewership, and at the end of almost every single video, I have allowed him to advertise the Bazaar to my viewers, which I don't have any regrets for, especially now that I've seen what the product actually is in closed beta. I was extremely happy with how well this game turned out. And again, like I've showcased before, I think it speaks for itself. I am also the first person that got to reveal this game to the entire world as a content creator, which, if you have any idea how much that means to me as someone who is trying to be more than just a Hearthstone content creator, this was a ginormous deal. That meant that I am a front runner for this game, and most importantly, it allowed me to have the experience of being like the biggest Bazaar video thus far. And when people look up the Bazaar, it might be the first video that they see, which is absolutely incredible. I am saying this to you guys because, again, I don't want to have, I'm trying my hardest to just showcase the bias I potentially might have during this video, because obviously I've had only very positive experiences with Rarran in the Bazaar. So let's go back even further here. If you did not know, Rarran actually did an Indiegogo for this game, which is basically a way for you to crowdfund your game in order for the development to happen, because you kind of need money to be a video game developer. It costs a lot of money, especially if you develop a game that looks and plays like the Bazaar. Visually speaking alone, the Bazaar probably cost a ton of money. So getting a actual crowdfunded, source of income is extremely important for a game like this if you want it to be AAA status. So the most important thing here is not necessarily how the game has changed over the years. It's the fact that this game has this line of text right here: pay to win or pay to play. And this has become kind of like a copy pasta if you've gone on the Reddit or the Discord. And as you guys can probably imagine, due to this entire thing with this whole pay to win situation, this has become kind of a meme. To give some kind of credit here, I think 5 years of development, there's a lot of different things that can happen towards a game. I think it's extremely hard to just maintain the exact same dream that you had over all of these different people coming in to invest and giving you ideas. It's almost impossible to imagine that the product that he has right here is going to be the exact same thing 5 years later. And you could just tell from this like early version of the game, it doesn't even look like they have the same concept anymore. It looks almost like a completely different concept with maybe a little bit of like similarities here and there. The main problem is that the fact is the Bazaar was promised to be a game that is truly free to play. And in their most recent update, the Bazaar has decided to make a pay to win system using their battle pass. if you guys have played Marvel Snap at all, you're probably familiar with the system that I'm about to say, and it's one of the reasons why I stopped playing Marvel Snap, because I found it extremely frustrating to pay money every single month to make sure that I have the latest card possible to fight against people on ladder with. Now, to give this game some credit before I go into the nitty gritty here, it is important to note that I think in a game like Marvel Snap, it is a much more egregious if you have a card that you could preemptively put into your deck, unlike a bunch of cards that you get from a pack in a auto battler. In an auto battler, you're not guaranteed to get any one of these cards. And in a lot of situations, these cards are not going to be inherently unbalanced if you don't get the correct build for it. The problem is, and this is where I agree with a lot of people, if one of these cards is unbalanced, and by mean you could just auto force a build around it, there is a power discrepancy in the free to play versus pay to win groups of people, where the pay to win people will always have an advantage over the free to play people regardless. And this has been a conversation in Marvel Snap. It has always been a conversation in Hearthstone, that the fact that people actually have more cards, they are able to win more games. But in a game like an auto battler, especially in a game like the Bazaar, you want people to be on the same playing field, because that's what makes it enjoyable. If you lose to any one of these items and you don't have the means to afford the new packs, you are gonna feel like utter shit losing to it, because there is nothing you could have done to actually get these items unless you get extremely lucky from like random generation, which I'm actually not even 100% sure these items can be generated unless you actually own them. Now, of course, the only way you can get these items right now is by buying this battle pass. I think this battle pass is like $10 USD, and obviously, like you guys could probably see on the screen, I bought them. And it's one of the reasons why I've taken a little bit longer to make this video, is because I feel like I should probably go through and actually use these cards to see what they're like before I give an actual opinion, because I don't want to just yell at Rarran and the team for absolutely no reason. And to be fair, using these items, for the most part, I didn't actually get to use the pig one yet, but I'll speak on behalf of the Vanessa one. Most of these items are not amazing. There's a couple really good ones, like the dive weights here, which I hope you guys can read for the most part, but it's not the focus I want to talk about in this video. But a lot of these don't feel like they're utterly breaking the game. They don't feel like I'm like getting an inherent advantage, but that's because I'm using these items. If I'm someone who can't get these items until after the battle pass, we'll get that in there in a second, I can imagine the frustration I would have as a player who just doesn't have these items. Now, as a free-to-play player, how do you get these items? Well, at the end of the battle pass, which I believe is like every 30 days, these two packs will be available for 1,000 gems in the store afterwards, which means you have to wait a full month before you can get either the Vanessa one or the Pygmalion one. This means that you are going to have an unfair advantage for basically a month if you are a pay to win. And I'm going to use quotations here because unfair advantage is kind of relative depending on how good your build is. The problem is that by adding these items into your pool, you're actually making yourself statistically less likely to find good items for your build, because now there's more items in your shop, which means it's less consistent. And actually it can be a little bit of a downfall rather than something that's going to be a positive outcome from you. But the problem is, again, this is just the case for these packs right now. As we go into the future, if any one of these packs is actually broken, you can only spend money on them. Inherently, it doesn't feel great to the players who can't do that, and it does cause a power discrepancy between pay to win and free to play players. I do find it very strange that only the player that owns the packs can turn them off. For example, as a Vanessa player who owns Mysteries of the Deep, I can actually turn this pack off, right? You can see that highlighting and highlighting, which means when I queue up as a game as Vanessa, I am not playing with those items. That means I can still queue up against players who are actually using Mysteries of the Deep and go against players that are potentially having a way better build than I have with a item that I cannot get. Now, these items currently I don't think are broken. It's just always going to be a problem in the future, because if there is items that you can only get behind a paywall, it's a problem, etc., etc. A lot of people will say, yo, they could just do cosmetics. And I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. But this isn't like League of Legends where you have a 3D model and a ton of different animations and there's like a loading screen. A lot of this game is single player, which means you're probably not going to be wanting to buy any skins because you barely see another player the entire time. But also there's only so many there's only so many options they can truly make other than just changing the PNG factor of what character you're buying for. So unless there is some really, really good skins. I don't know how sustainable it truly is to make skins for all the characters and expect that to just sustain the game for years to come. So I can understand where they're coming from. My solution to this entire thing, if I'm someone who does not own any of the packs, I could say in a little checkbox right here or something along those lines that says, I don't want to play against any packs. This would allow people to spend the money to go against players who have also bought the packs, but most importantly, make sure that the players who can't buy it for the first month don't feel like they're at a power discrepancy because of the fact they haven't bought those cards yet. This obviously de-incentivizes players to buy the packs early because then you're not going against the entire player base, but at least there's probably enough people, me included, that would actually buy these packs because of the fact that I want to play with new stuff. I think it's important to note that people who enjoy video games are really happy to support the video game. I know that like Rarran's not a huge fan of super auto pets because it kind of stole the asynchronous idea first, but it did figure out how to do it properly without making it feel like players are at a disadvantage the entire time, because you can decide what packs you're playing with. The next problem is this subscription model. This subscription model is $10 a month USD, I believe, and you basically get a legendary board, a gold card back, you get double prize pass XP, and you also get double ranked mode chest. Me personally, and this might just be me on my own, I actually don't think this is really a negative whatsoever. You don't get any actual gameplay mechanic advantage over anyone else. This is basically a return on investment if you play enough Bazaar. The amount of gems and the amount of chests you're going to be getting from subscribing to this will probably pay itself back, because you're going to be getting a lot more than $10 worth of gems if you play this game enough. I have no problems with it. Now, the other really important thing here is the fact that they took away a free rank ticket every single day. What happened in the closed beta was the fact that at the end of every single day, they would give you a free rank ticket so you could try ranked on your own. The only other way of you getting rank tickets was playing normals, getting 10 wins. And by getting 10 wins, you got a rank ticket, unless you got really lucky and opened one in the chest. This can be seen as a pro and con depending on how much you play this game and actually how good you are at this game. If you're someone who is farming normals and you were getting 10 wins very, very easily, this is obviously a way worse decision for you, because you are now capped at a certain amount of tickets every single month, which is, I believe, 45. And the way you get tickets now is by playing and by unlocking them in the battle pass. Every single rank you get about 2, which is a pretty good deal if you're someone who's extremely casual. And it really depends on how often you play the game. I personally don't have a huge problem with this, because I feel like the average player who plays this game maybe once every couple of days is probably going to have more rank tickets than the people who are jamming this consistently. So I feel like, again, I'm not too iffy on this. I can see why people would be upset. Me personally, I was good enough at rank that I was basically going infinite with my chests, unless I was getting content for like a super meme build. Overall, this seems like a pretty positive change. Now, regardless of how I feel about these whole monetization changes, it is important to note that I am kind of salty that the fact that they lied to us when it comes to monetization and the fact that this was going to be a free-to-play game. And I'm not going to sit here and just absolutely hammer down the fact that they're pieces of shit. I'm not trying to do that, because I think in my mind, at least at some point in time, they realized that that's not going to be sustainable for a game like this. And above all else, and this is the part where I think is going to be maybe the most relatable for a lot of you guys, I just want this game to succeed, man. I have told people time and time again before this whole open beta thing that this is like the best game I have played in a very long period of time. Even though I can understand the frustration from everyone playing the game now and being extremely hurt from how the Tempo team is treating this entire situation, and of course what they did, I just want the game to succeed, dude. Above all else, that the Tempo Store team realizes what they have, and they work in a way that allows not only free-to-play players to feel like they're getting exactly what they were promised, but also make enough money in a different way to make sure that this game is sustainable. I want to make videos on this game. I want to support it. I want to stream it. I want to play it. I want to continue having fun with the game that I believe is the next innovative thing in the strategy genre. Up until the point that something changes, here's what's going to happen here. I am still going to play this game. If you see me off stream and you go against one of my ghosts, that is me playing the game. I am more than happy to support this game and continue playing it, but for the time being, I will no longer be buying any of the battle passes or the subscriptions. I have unsubscribed to the subscription feed, and I will no longer be buying battle passes until something changes. Rarran, Tempo Storm, if you're listening to me, please listen. Please do something better than this. I am begging you guys from not only a player, but from a content creator who is more than excited to make more content for this game. And as someone who is so happy to continue supporting the game in a variety of different ways, I want there to be a reason for me to continue playing the game without worrying about politics and all this pay to win nonsense. And I understand it will be hard to regain the trust of your audience, but as someone who believes in this game, I feel like you guys can make the right decisions to get this game back on track and have an open beta I know you guys were excited to have for everyone. I hope this is a good video. Sorry if this is super rambled. I'll see you guys in the next one.